Welcome summoners to another RiftGuides WildRift video. For today we are going to take a look at patch 2.6a and wow, this is quite the banger of a patch, so let's get ready and start. The weather outside is frightful, but the fire is, well, being brought down in the form of fiery justice-infused swords from our latest addition to WildRift, Kayle. Since her addition, she has been taking over the Rift in a rather divine fashion, but she is not the only one. We've been checking our list and quite a few champions are in need of some nerfs. We don't want to be a total and fatal downer though, so we enlisted some poros to help us bring some flufftastic rewards. If winter isn't your thing, the cybernetic world of Project will also be making its appearance. This patch is also longer than usual, but it will be our last one for 2021. Thank you for reading and laughing at all our puns this year. You could say it's quite the undertaking to write them, but don't worry, we'll be back in January with more updates. Until then, we'll see you on the Rift. First things first, let's start with the skins releasing on the 22nd of December. Here we have Bad Santa Veiga, Santa Brom and Winter Wonder Lulu. Releasing on the 29th of December, we have the Project skin line, with Project Kayle, Fiora, Jhin, Katarina and Vayne. And if this wasn't enough already, we have another set of skins releasing on the 6th of January. Here we have Blood Moon Fresh, Dunkmaster Darius and Steel Legion Lux. In addition to those skins, as per usual, we'll get some more accessoires, so be ready to pick them up because we got icon borders, icons, baubles, recalls, everything and more, so get your wallets ready. But something that's quite nice to our wallets is the amount of events we're getting. The very first event starts on the 25th of December and it's called the New Year's Fluffed. Have you ever wanted to hang out with a poro? If so, now's your chance. Grab some poro snacks and get ready for some flufftastic rewards. The next one is launching on the 29th of December and it's called the Project event. And this event comes with a little teaser. Well, thanks for keeping the hack between us. Since it was kept under the wraps, we were able to bring Project and all sorts of surprises along with it. And in combination to the Project event, we are getting a Project Boost event. You've been in the cybernetic world for a few days and now it's time for an upgrade. This is going to launch on the 5th of January. And before we move over to the champion changes, it's time for a question of the day. What do you think about the massive amount of events in WildRift currently? Let me know about your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're at it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And now we have the champion changes, and first up is Akshan. Akshan players have a good grapple on his playstyle. He's also been able to swing into multiple lanes because of his fast wave clear and mid-game roams. We're pulling some power out of his early game and mid-game spike, so it makes it a bit more difficult for him to swing to victory. As a consequence, he loses 6 base AD from 58 to 52, and the base damage from his first ability Avengering is also reduced. And let's be honest here, this champion needed nerfs. It was flying under the radar for way too long until people realized how broken this champion actually is. So, at least something done right. Next up comes Amumu. We were a bit too cautious with our previous Amumu changes. We didn't want to overwhelm him with too many new friends. We're giving him back some of the stats we previously removed and giving his bandage toss a bit of a boost to help his mummy find his place and friends on the Rift. His base health goes up by 80 on level 1 and his base armor goes up by 5. In addition to that, he's also getting a buff on his first ability's damage and cooldown, which is quite a nice change. With this, we might be able to see a return of this champion into the game, but let's see what the future brings. Next up comes Camille. Camille players that master precision can dominate the laning phase and take over a game with their roaming and scaling. We are cutting down on the frequency of her passive so she has to be more precise and decisive with her trading in lane. As a compensation, her base stats got buffed a little bit. Her health goes up from 105 to 115 per level, whereas her passive cooldown is increased from 10 to 18 seconds, scaling down to 12 seconds over the course of leveling up. This is quite the big nerf for Camille, because it impacts her laning a lot. Adding 8 seconds to her passive is super important for a laning phase. Think of the enemy's typical cooldowns. They're all relatively close to 10 seconds or less. So whenever the enemy has a rotation, Camille can easily block most of the damage or at least 20% of her maximum HP with that passive. Now she has to wait 8 extra seconds in the early game. Do you realize how big that of a nerf is? It most likely changes a lot of lane dynamics she already had established. And after Camille comes another champion that really needed her lane to be nerfed, and this is Fiora. Fiora just wants a worthy opponent, but recently she hasn't been giving her opponents enough opportunities for a fair duel. We are increasing the cooldown of riposte to give those who want to challenge her to a duel more chances to play around her vulnerabilities. As a consequence, the cooldown of riposte goes up from 13 seconds level 1 to 18 seconds. Over the course of leveling up though, it will go down to 12 seconds and it was previously 10 seconds. Similar to the Camille thing, this changes a bit of the dynamic in lane because she will not always have a riposte available for every single trade. It takes away 5 seconds, which is quite a lot in the early game, but it's still something that only really adds to the problem. Her first ability's range is too vast and it's too annoying to deal with, so maybe we see some changes for that in the future as well, but this is already a very nice step into the right direction. And the next champion on this list is Fizz. Fizz loves tripping up his opponents with his slippery tricks. However, his high mobility and powerful burst damage has come across as more frustrating than playful recently. To reduce his frustration around Fizz's play pattern, we are pulling back on how frequently he can all-in, kill a target and slip away unscathed. So for him, we have chummed the Walter's cooldown increase from 80 seconds to 90 seconds, and overall like a 10-second cooldown increase. Imagine thinking though that Fizz needs his ultimate ability to kill you. That is quite a nice joke. Anyway, it is just about his ability of fishing for things without committing. Cause his ultimate is a non-committal spell. He doesn't have to put himself into any kind of risk by ulting. But still, this doesn't deal with the fact that the Fizz, as soon as he gets to you, is going to kill you. The next pick or change to a champion is for a champion that has gained so much popularity in professional play. It's for Jarvan. Jarvan is a flex pick that has strong consistent harass in the Baron lane and powerful ganks from the jungle. He's been flying under the radar for a strong pick for a while, but as players have started to pick him up more frequently and optimize his builds, he's risen up to be too powerful. So we are taking away some of that lane poking power as well as some of his jungle clear speed. His base AD goes down from 64 to 58, which is massive, and the Dragon Strike's damage from 90 to 80, an overall 10 damage decrease. As you can probably guess, losing 6 AD on level 1 is quite the massive change, and losing some extra damage on your main damage spell is something even more extreme on top. So we can safely say that this champion lost a lot of his previous power, and especially in all-in situations, losing those 6 AD plus the bonus damage is really going to make the difference in the future. And for our next change we have Kayle. The Daughter of the Void has been vulnerable in lane since the changes we made to Icathian Rain in the previous patch. We're giving some buffs to her scaling to compensate for her vulnerable early game and to help her take down enemies later on. For that, the bonus AD ratio is increased from 35 to 40% on the Icathian Rain ability, and on the Supercharge ability we got some attack speed buffs as the game goes on. Next on the list is a champion that's also worthy of nerfs. We have Kayle. Kayle is a late game carry, but she's been too strong in the early game. She's also been scaling slightly too well, so we're cutting back on just how hard she can serve her justice. For her base stats, she is losing 6 AD on level 1, some weird number on the attack speed which says 270 to 220, and her base armor goes down from 3.9 to 3.5 per level. And if that wasn't enough already, her Divine Judgment's base damage is also decreased from 200 to 150 on rank 1 and up to 100 up on the highest rank. The next change is something I didn't even dream of seeing. It's about Lee Sin and it's going to be a buff. Lee Sin is a popular champion who is strong in higher level games but could use a little bit of help in lower level games. We are cautiously giving him some slight buff that help him in the lower level games but shouldn't impact him in the higher level play. He's getting a bit more health regeneration to help with his jungle clears, and his ultimate ability is also getting a bit more damage. We hope these changes allow for Lee Sin to be seen at all levels of play. His base health regen goes up from 9 per 5 to 10.5 per 5, and his base damage on the ultimate goes up from 150 to 175. I'll be honest, I don't think this is a good idea to change this champion because there's a reason this champion has a low win rate in the lower elo brackets. Because he's harder to play. I think it's a very bad approach to make every champion go closer to the 50% win rate because some champions are just not designed for specific elo brackets. Let's take Azir on PC for example. You can't give this champion the power to have 50% win rate in lower elo brackets and expect this champion to be not a mega broken in the high elo. It's not going to work like this, and I think we really need to stop changing things like this. And for our next change, we have something coming for Olaf, and it's also a buff. The Berserker has been underperforming for quite some time now, so we are giving him a boost to his damage and some chasing potential. His base AD goes up from 3.6 to 4.55 per level, and the undertow slow ratio goes up by 5%. And the next champion up on this list is Renekton. Renekton is an unstoppable force in the Baron lane, dominating in the early game and transitioning into the mid game menace with relative ease. We are slightly reducing his scaling power and taking away from the uptime on his stun to make him work a bit harder to slice and dice through his opponents. His base stats get a hit and go down from 5.5 to 4.55 AD per level, and his second ability's cooldown goes up from 12 seconds to 13 seconds. I think this nerf is going to the right direction, but it's not gonna change too much. Renekton is too good of a champion in the meta in WildRift, and he's too solid in anything he does. Especially with a Gargoyle enchant, he's not gonna die, and the damage he's dealing is still going to be insane. So even the upturn change and the base damage change is not going to remove him from the meta in any possible way. Another surprising change is coming to Senna. Senna has been excelling in both ranked play and pro play through the use of her attacks rather than her utility. We are taking away some of her range scaling to lower her ability to deal damage without her opponents being able to respond, and in return giving Senna a small buff to give her allies some more protection. Absolution, additional attack range per 20 souls going down from 25 to 15 range, and Dawning Shadow, shield amount 3 shield health per soul up to 4 shield health per soul. And now we are moving to the last change of this patch balance wise. Twisted Fate. Previously we cut down Twisted Fate for his powerful cross-map plays and reliable scaling, particularly in the hands of skilled players. However, we went overboard with these changes, so we'll be dealing the Cardmaster a new hand with some better cards. His base health goes up from 105 to 115 per level, and the pick a card cooldown goes down from 8 to 7. I really wonder if this is going to bring TF really back into the meta, or if we are going to see some more AD Twisted Fate on the Dragon lane. And last but not least, let's move over to the free-to-play champion rotations. This time we have 4 for you because, well, there's no more patch coming for quite some while. From the 16th December to the 22nd December, we have Brand, Corki, Draven, Fiora, Jarvan, Kayle, Leona Morgana, Orianna and Rammus. From the 23rd December to the 29th of December, we have Akshan, Alistar, Amumu, Fizz, Galio, Misfortune, Nunu and Willump, Riven, Soraka and Tryndamere. Starting on the 30th of December to the 5th of January, we have Akali, Caitlyn, Camille, Graves, Jhin, Lulu, Malphite, Rakan, Rengar and Twisted Fate. And last but not least, now finally we're at the end, the 6th of January to the 15th of January with Ezreal, Gragas, Kai'Sa, Katarina, Kha'Zix, Singed, Sona, Teemo and Yasuo. And with all that out of the way, thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.